There we are. We are now recording for the record. That
So if you hit the use slideshow, will that flip it over to your actual slideshow?
Say that again?
I don't use Zoom very much. Is it the use slideshow button at the top that will flip it? Because right now we're seeing the presenter view.
Yeah.
Now what are you seeing?
There it
There we
is.
go.
Just the slides.
And
Okay.
this,
All right.
everyone, is the board in action. We support each other with grace and efficiency.
I don't know. It feels like everybody's Zoom looks different, but okay, let's edit the we can edit the video to show just the parts we want to show, right,
All
Caitlin?
good. I just started.
Yeah. Okay, all right. So the agenda now, yeah, now I can't move my slide. Sorry. Okay. So the agenda for today is to firstly welcome everybody to the first chapter virtual launch event and do a little bit of introductions to the board and those of us that have been trying to get this and succeeded to get this off the ground. We'll do a little bit of an update on the chapter, really just sort of the vision and the goals for 2025. We'll talk a bit about what needs we have from a volunteer sponsorship perspective, and then we'll get into our meet and greets, like I said earlier, is the kind of the chunk of the session, and then we'll just wrap up with the sort of key messages and asks of you, and that'll be it for today. So we'll plan to be done by 8 o'clock Central. Let me try share that next slide again. Okay, so now we're gonna meet the board.
Fantastic. Yes, what an awesome board this is. For any of you who have not met me yet, I am Beth Merkel. I am the president and proud president of the ACMP Great Plains chapter. And it all started, what, about a year and a half ago, from just an idea that I saw posted on LinkedIn from Erin Aliano, who you will meet in just a moment. And I thought it was a great idea. And I wasn't all that familiar with ACMP at the time, but met with Erin. And before that meeting was over, I was chapter president. So be careful when you're in Erin's presence. She has some really serious powers of persuasion. And that's one of the many reasons we love her. But my day job, if you will, is I am a leadership professor. So I am a online instructor for leadership courses, and I work at the College of St. Mary. I am the program director for the Master of Science in Organizational Leadership. And you might say, well, wow, what the heck? How did you get involved with ACMP? Well, you heard some backstory. And what really drew me is that without change, leadership is a moot point. There's no need. So I say that to my students constantly. We are in the business of change and leading people through change. And ACMP is particularly the standard, if you're familiar with that, gives us such wonderful guidelines by which to do that. And then this network that we have to rely on people to help us lead our organizations through change. So that's how I got involved in ACMP. And I am, as I said, the president for now, going into the second year. Eventually, I would like to turn it over, but we'll see where that takes us. Our vice president is not with us today. Tony Burke is. He's an awesome force to be reckoned with, and just a wonderful representation from the Dakotas. All right, he is from, I want to say, okay, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and works with the American Heart Association there as the government relations regional team lead for the American Heart Association. So he is a very, very busy man, very familiar with change on a small and large scale. He is also a CCMP, a Certified Change Management Professional. So anyone who has questions about that process can get in touch with me or Tony, and others on the board who are CCMP will let you know that. One of the things that I noted about Tony that led us to just kind of seal the deal when he wanted to be uh, vice president was that he lists values um, on his LinkedIn page. So in front and center. So values of accountability and kindness. And that's how he leads change. And I just think that is profoundly wonderful. And I'm so glad he's part of our board. So I will turn it over to next in line. And is that Alex or Aaron? I'm not. Alex?
Alex, do you want to go?
Sure.
There
Sure.
we go.
So I'm Alex Ripberger. I'm based out of Kansas City. I am the director of change management at Wesco, and I've been doing change management for 10 years, primarily as a consultant for the 8 previous. I've been at Wesco for the last 2 years. In terms of getting involved with ACMP and change management, Michelle recruited me as probably a common recurring theme on the board. But really, I mean, especially being in Kansas City, it feels like such a tight knit change management community, and I think it's just great to get to know more people and doing change management, people all around the area, and get to talk about change management and kind of further the cause. I think that's really great. It feels like it's like such a great time to be in change management overall, and excited to kind of hear other people or what they're doing and what's important to them and see where the future takes us. So that's why I'm here and what I'm really interested about. And I guess I'm a number person, although I don't know that that makes me really much, but that's what I am on this board today.
And we're grateful for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll go next. I'm Erin Aliano, the secretary, and I am a person of influence. I am a change practitioner. I own my own business. I do consulting for um, nonprofits in making changes in their organization if their mission is shifting or they're growing their business. And then I also predominantly work in corporate space, helping with software implementations, working with other fellow change management practitioners as a leader in helping people understand what changes are happening when the new technology comes in, what processes are changing, and how it's going to hopefully help enable their work go faster. So I was one of the starting members of the ACMP Great Plains. Reached out to Dana Houston Jackson out of Kansas City as a fellow LinkedIn partner and said, why don't we have something in Missouri and Nebraska? And what can we do to change that? And she is also a force to be reckoned with in the Kansas City area. And so she and I just started doing the research. They make it pretty easy. They have step-by-step guide, but it does take a lot of volunteer work and a lot of equity of time and resources just putting it all together. So I appreciate every one of us taking the time to get together tonight to learn more about how we can do more of this work. I think our discipline is underappreciated in the Great Plains, and I would say that's my why to be here is how can we get our value out there. So I'll pass it over to Michelle.
Off mute here. Okay, so also in Kansas City, and in the role of Director of Membership for this new emerging chapter. Very excited to be in that role. And like I said earlier, I've been in Kansas City since 2015, and so I've been working in change kind of mostly as an independent consultant during that time. I had a brief stint as a director of change management internally for a while and then went back to independent consulting. And I kind of do it all. I've done software implementations, I've done org changes, spent 2 years helping a company build an offshore development center in India. So I am kind of agnostic to the industry and the type of change, but really enjoy the work. And at the moment, I'm helping a large law firm do a couple implementations. And I joined the board I think it was this time last year, as I was looking to meet more people in Kansas City and change and struggling to find many on the LinkedIn pages, and which I had actually tried to do in my time at as a director, trying to find and recruit people. So when I met Dana and Dana told me that this was happening, I put my hand up and wanted to get involved. And so it's been great working with the board over the last year to get it off the ground, and excited to meet more people and see how we can bring this together sort of virtually. But my hope is also in person, especially in Kansas City, that we can get some good events going and some good community building happening. And then I think I'll hand to Crystal.
Thank you, Michelle. Hi, my name is Crystal Algie, and I serve as the Director of Area Representatives at ACMP Great Plains Chapter. In my current role, I'm a business process analyst for a financial firm called Moneta, which change is inevitable in my group. I am the one who usually fosters that change by having tons of conversations about processes. And so it is a good idea for me to get involved with more things that enhance change and have a network of people to help me do that. I was fortunate enough to be able to be recruited into the board of this chapter. I am thankful to be able to meet such wonderful individuals who have already gotten their feet wet within getting this chapter up and going. And so I am learning from them as we speak. I also am here, just developing myself professionally. And then, like I said, with industry professionals as well. So thankful to be here. And Caitlin, you're up.
Thanks, Crystal. So
Yeah.
I'm Caitlin, and you can call me Kate. And I am the Director of Communications for this board, and it's just been a wonderful experience. I'm so excited. I'm from Jefferson City, and so for those who aren't aware, Jefferson City is the capital of the state of Missouri, and that sort of rolls into what I do professionally. So I am a project manager for the state of Missouri's ERP implementation, but I'm a consultant, so I'm not directly a state employee. And I absolutely love it. I've been doing that for the past few years, and I am absolutely passionate about transformation. And I started my life actually doing a major brand transformation for Fortune 500, and I cut my teeth in L&D and change before I kind of jumped ship over to projects a little bit. So part of why I'm passionate about ACMP and change and furthering this is really giving back to the community and helping project management and change management hold hands. I'll toss it back to you, Beth.
I love that. Thanks. Yeah, project management and change management holding hands, like kumbaya, right? It can be done. It can be done. So, as we move on to the next slide, you can see that we've put some work into this, right? And we've tried to keep you informed along the way. We spent the first year sending out surveys. We wanted to find out what our membership wanted. How do we serve you? That's the point. How do we serve our career field? That is the secondary point. So you gave us so much wonderful information. And from that, we put together this board. We created bylaws. We also penned a mission and vision, and we would love your feedback on any and all of it. We developed a membership roster that is growing by the day. And we completed the application for what ACMP calls emerging chapter status. You go from forming chapter, which means you don't really exist, to emerging chapter. And ACMP is rightfully very focused on language. So we are now an emerging chapter, and we feel very proud of that. The application, as Erin indicated, it was straightforward in that they told us exactly what they needed. But boy, it took a lot of work. This is a legit organization. This is no fly by night. So when you join Great Plains, you know that so much has gone into creating a solid foundation from which we can live out our mission, which is to promote career growth and provide networking opportunities for our members. And that came directly from you. And that supports our vision, which is to lead the evolution of change in our region and the evolution of change in regard to change management practices for sure, but more importantly, shaping the way our career field is perceived, is understood, is utilized overall. So, with so many of us, we get stuck in some basement office, as a subdivision of HR or something like that. Change management has traditionally almost been an afterthought. No more, because that is extremely inefficient and a terrible waste of amazing resources that are us, the change management professionals. So that's what we want to do. Really expand people's understanding of what change management is, how we as change managers work at the micro and the macro level, how we hold hands with the people that they understand, the project managers, and how we really can help smooth the transitions that every viable organization is going through. So, yeah, we're about making sure that many of us become CCMPs, or that we meet each other, that we have resources, but also paying attention to the bigger picture, which is so exciting and necessary for all of us. So let's go on and talk about our goals for 2025 for this year. Now that we've got this awesome foundation, now we really need to boost our membership, right? Let's get people actually signed up as members of the Great Plains chapter. And we are hoping to reach a membership of 70 people in the Great Plains and over 5 states. I think we can certainly do that. We'd like to get some money flowing in. I won't lie. We all know, we're all grown-ups here. We know that it takes money to start an organization. So we are hoping to raise at least $5,000 through sponsorship packages. And we'll touch on this a little bit later, but we have sponsorship opportunities. And I ask you to look, at your organization. And if you feel that it's something you could put forth, even if it's a long shot, we're going to ask you to do that. We want to build the foundational infrastructure for a successful nonprofit, which is what we are. So I'm going to ask Alex to come in and pipe in a little bit about what we've done to solidify our status as a nonprofit and how we'll move forward from there.
Absolutely. Thank you, Beth. The key really is to make sure that we have everything as best we can figured out. So going through the full membership process, we're starting out in Nebraska as kind of our home state of origin, just for ease and lots of reasons. And going through the process there of getting everything set up in Nebraska, we're going through the current approval process right now. So getting our charter accepted and making sure we're going through there, and then going on to choose the states that we're eligible for. So the 5 states that we're looking to target and potentially more, and then looking at the federal nonprofit status, getting bank accounts set up, and all the other great things that make it possible to keep this running for a long time. The big key is making it stable and getting that stable organization. The setup is the longest part. This is a long process to make sure we're following all the regulations and getting everything set up correctly. And so we're working through that now and hope to have good news over the next month as we kind of move forward and start getting all the boxes checked. But lots of good things coming here in the near future.
Fantastic. Alex, I am so grateful for your expertise, your eagle eye, your attention to detail, all of the things that make me start to sweat and my eyes roll back in my head, you handle with great ease. And what a wonderful team we all make when we are working together like that. So our another goal that we have in place, and this is part of our requirements to be members of ACMP Global, but they ask that we hold at least 2 events a year. So no problem. We would love that. We'd love to interact with our membership and provide value. So we'd like to hold at least 2 virtual chapter events and 1 in-person event per area. So if possible, we'd love to see an in-person event in Omaha, in Kansas City, in what everywhere else that we are, Jefferson City, everywhere else that we are. And if we can support you in any way, we would love to do that. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in the future. And most importantly, we want to know what you want. What do you want to attend? How do you want to uh, engage? What activities do you want to host? So we're going to ask you to think about that and let us know. Okay. We've talked about our chapter needs, and since we've already talked about it, I'm going to go really quickly over this, but we do need you to join. If you haven't already, please click this link. We'll put it in the chat. Kate, would you put that in the chat too so they can grab it if that's convenient? So we ask you to click on the link and join our chapter. And if you can't do that today, you still have time on your existing chapter membership, then please, when you go to renew, join Great Plains. It will really just help us get the voice that we need across these 5 states. And once we have this membership, we will hear your voice. We will, as we grow in mass and numbers, your voice amplifies, right? It's not being run by the board, it's being run by the members, which is really our goal. But to do that, we will need your engagement and your participation. So I will ask Crystal to talk a little bit about the role of area representatives.
Thank you, Beth. As the Director of Area Representatives, the goal is to seek area representatives to establish a community of change contributors within our area. As we come together, we will share and collaborate ideas, and we're hoping to meet bi-monthly to foster engagement. You can reach out to myself, Caitlin Phillips, or Michelle A. Rooks. Michelle, I probably just messed up your last name, and I apologize. But you will be able to contact us, and then we can help you in different areas. And we'd love to meet you personally to figure out what your goals are and what some of those other ideas is that you may have too. And did you want me to pass it on to Caitlin so she can explain the communication needs?
Absolutely. Caitlin, what does the marketing and communications and social media arm of this organization need?
So right now, one of the biggest needs that we have is actually people to support our group on ACMP, where we have, one second, I have my note there, and when I went to go look for the page, I lost my email. There it is. So facilitators to do an ACMP Connect, that is a big need. And as we mature, we will have more marketing and comms needs that will develop. But as of this point, that is the largest need.
Yeah.
Pass it off to Michelle.
Connect being the discussion forum, right?
Yes,
On
the
the
discussion.
ACMP page.
Mhm.
Yeah, so it's a kind of a moderator or facilitator to spark
Yep.
conversation and great.
Yeah, I need at least 4 participants for that.
Okay. Yeah. And then we're also looking for people to help with the next virtual chapter meeting that we will hopefully hold in the next quarter. And open to anybody to volunteer themselves or somebody else who they think is really interesting that we could approach to come along and talk. We get to a little bit later on, but we're hoping for our next one to be a panel interview, presentation, fireside chat, right? Format to be decided, but have some really interesting speakers present. So if you're up for it or you know somebody else who might be up for it, please let me know and we'll go from there.
Awesome. And that way, again, your voice can be heard, right? We can be creating content and providing information that is relevant to you and your learning journey, the educator in me just came out, your career journey, to make participation and engagement with this organization mutually beneficial, right? You are growing and changing as Great Plains chapter grows and changes, and that's exciting. So also to do that, as I pointed to earlier, we will need sponsors. So if your organization or if you are an independent consultant or you would like to sponsor yourself, we would love to hear from you. So please get in touch with me. My contact information will be included with this slide deck when it goes out. What we're looking for is anything from, well, any amount of donation would be wonderful to have, but for donations, we hope to have beginning at $500 level. And you can see that includes a logo on our sponsor page, sponsorship awareness at events. We will splash our names of our sponsors all over the place as much as possible. And of course, the donation, the sponsorship would be tax deductible all the way up to $750, $1,000, up to a founding sponsor. That includes all the other benefits, but we will have a special area on our webpage that will announce that these are the organizations, these are the sponsors who helped found this group. And there's a special place in any organization for its founders, and we will point to that over and over again. So again, if I can help you kind of figure out a strategy for talking to your leadership team or the people who make the decisions, if you need an official letter, whatever you need, I would love to help you make a sponsorship happen for us. So feel free to contact me at any point to chat about it. All right. And with that, let's move on to some questions and see what you all have to say or ask, or what's on your minds.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
Are you looking for CCMPs to give your presentations, or is this open to anyone?
It's open to
Yeah.
anyone. I know so
Anyone.
many people who are highly seasoned, experienced change management professionals who might not even have the title of change management professional. I'll put myself in that area personally, but anyone who can speak
Okay.
well and contribute to our learning for change management, whether they're CCMP or not.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, great question. Thanks.
Okay. Well, we can ask questions whenever, right? Beth, we were going to do breakout sessions now, but I wonder if we just keep to the group at this point because we've got
Yeah.
four, I think, four attendees. And so we're probably going to end up if we did two breakout groups, we would probably repeat each other. So I was wondering if we just
Yeah.
keep
we'll
it,
have a group
keep
with,
it all
with all
together.
board members. Like, hey, I love that idea, Michelle. I love
And
that
I'll just stop share. Well, I'll show you what we wanted to talk about, and then I'll just stop sharing after that so we can all see each other. But we were thinking, if in the breakout groups we would have had, just a brief introduction about yourself, similar to how the board did their introductions, right? And then we can share our LinkedIn or emails in the chat. We don't have a directory quite yet, so we were just thinking everybody could sort of swap contact details, and then you could connect online. And then we wanted to just have a chat in our groups around anything change management related, right? Is something new or exciting you're working on that you want to share? And it would be great to hear what you're hoping to get out of the chapter, and then any content that you'd like to share yourself or that you'd like to hear from others, training topics, just a general discussion. We just really wanted to encourage people to get to know each other beyond a surface level introduction. So hopefully we can do a little bit of that.
I think we can manage that.
Yeah. So which of our guests wants to go first and introduce themselves?
I'll go.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Jennifer Boldig here in Kansas City, born and raised. Lived in Chicago for about 6 years. That's where I was introduced to organizational change management back in 2011. So very familiar, been a member of ACMP for quite a while, as well as ProSci. I mean, it wasn't ProSci certified. Moved back to Kansas City, have worked with various corporations. I've been with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Kansas City, and it'll be 5 years in April. I'm a team of one. This is the first time I've been in HR under that umbrella. Most of my career has been under some form of a project management office. So I get that holding hands that somebody mentioned earlier. But being within HR and that function has opened up opportunities to create closer partnerships with HR business partners, learning and development, leadership development teams, where we are building change capability and maturity within the organization through those groups, as well as just this year we got 8 people certified in change management, most of those being represented in those groups along with our project management office. So that's been exciting to continue to get the support from senior leadership on the value of change management and the desire to continue to build that capability and maturity. And then I'm also leading a change management community of practice. And so that's been exciting and fun to watch folks, even though they're newly certified, their role isn't change manager, but they are anxious to learn and incorporate change management into their roles. So that's been really neat to see. So that's been one of my recent highlights within my role. And then, of course, always supporting enterprise-wide initiatives that never stop. And then another area of focus that I'm initiating with senior leaders is how do you know you've succeeded from a people perspective? So assessing, identifying, and measuring success from a people perspective. Working with sponsors. We've taken sponsors, our senior leadership group, all the way up to the CEO. We've taken them through ProSci, the executive summary training, and really are focusing on their role as sponsors. So that's another area that's been exciting for me, is to get to work with that group to really help them engage more deeply from a people perspective. So ideas that I have for this group. So when I was in Chicago, I belonged to the Midwest chapter, loved it. And when I moved back to Kansas City, I was so disappointed that there wasn't a chapter here. So I'm super thrilled that this chapter is coming into existence, and I really do appreciate all of you and all the work that you've done and will continue to do to make this a success. It has real value. Just, what we did in the Midwest chapter was really neat. Going to different locations, just learning how other organizations focus on how they navigate through change. So we really learned from each other in unique situations and in fun ways. So I really appreciate it. Any questions? Anything to clarify?
I just think your contribution is going to be amazing. We have a wonderful relationship with Midwest Chapter. They have been invaluable in helping us set up because they're the only one in continental US that is multiple states. And that's been a whole difficult part of our navigating the ACMP chapter confirmation. So anyway, they have been fantastic. So I am so excited to have your experience and your enthusiasm as part of this group. And I have so many questions, but one I'm going to ask, what do you need from this group? What could, because there's so many, it's all potential, right? What could we provide that could really help you mentor, support, and develop this community of practice that you have?
Honestly, I need to think about think about that because it's great to see the vision and the mission and the goals. And my frame of reference is the Midwest chapter, as well as being a ACMP member for a long time, and so working off the chat boards and learning from each other. One of the things that came top of mind is that I find valuable personally. I'm always interested in learning how other practitioners handle specific situations based on the industry, so more industry specific. I've been in telecom and health payer. That's pretty much it in all of my adult career. So I always love understanding the unique situations and approaches that need to be taken based on the space in which you work, like federal government or collegiate or fill in the blank. So that interests me. Or how there's a ton out there on ERPs, but ERPs within specific industries. So it's those types of things. And
Wonderful.
You've seen it probably in conferences over the years. Everybody likes to hear theory and big picture and understand more deeply concepts and behavioral aspects of things.
We're all about
and
practical.
Also the practical,
right?
Right?
What good is
The
theory if you
practical.
can't
How do I
practice it?
actually fill in, then fill in the blank? I'll tell you, I'm over the last 2 years, my focus has shifted on building change muscle within the organization. And so, like I said, I still support initiatives, but that's like, secondhand now. So it's just understanding, what's unique to you and what you need to do as a change practitioner within the space that you're in. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. And that is exactly the type of feedback we are looking for so that we can provide this type of programming, whether it's through a discussion panel or through, I don't know what, workshops or whatever, that we can make this type of development materials available to you. So thank you. Thank you.
And sponsorship is always top of mind, working with execs and senior leaders. It's always good to know what really resonates with them and getting some tips and ideas.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you. All right. Who is next? Thank you so much, Jennifer.
I can go.
Yeah.
I'm Tamara Koppel. I usually someone with my name exists within your sphere of influence, so feel free to call me Tam if that makes it easier to have pronounce it. That my husband started calling me that when we were in college, and it just stuck. So I've been Tam for now about 30 years. I am from Kansas City. I am a product manager for Children International, which is a global nonprofit headquartered in Kansas City, and have been there for about 6 years. The thing that got me interested in ACMP is that coincidentally, the same week as everyone went on lockdown in 2020, we also launched a major replatforming effort to retire our Titanic sinking ship of a CRM system and move everyone onto a brand new Microsoft Dynamics system. And literally last Friday was the very last migration. And now we are, we've got people who are standing next to the electrical cord going, when can we pull the plug on this old system?
You're a
So
survivor, Tam.
yes. Yeah, I was commiserating with one of my coworkers today, and I said, this is exactly like the Titanic. We've gotten all of the survivors off of the sinking ship, and they're shell shocked and they're wrapped in blankets and they don't know what they're doing now. So we have a lot of work ahead of us. And that's kind of how we've been the last 4 years, as first it was navigating the pandemic and all the change that was coming. Then it just continued to be differences in the way the world worked after the pandemic and continued to migrate additional functionality. But this has been a huge transformational process for the whole company. And luckily, they got us on board with a change practitioner very early in the whole practice as a consultant.
Smart.
And it was from her that I started to realize how much different the actual practice of change management is from business analysis, which is my bread and butter. I started as a business analyst, and of course, and I think Crystal's familiar with this very much. If you're a business analyst, you are a change agent as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm a little surprised that there's not actually more crossover between IIBA, which is the Business Analysis Professional Organization, and ACMP for
Ooh, we
change
could make
management.
that happen.
And yeah, that's intriguing to me. So I'm coming in here as someone who's been through the fire firsthand, and we at least had some kind of a Sherpa to help guide us for at least part of the way. And I'm mixing all the metaphors tonight. And I do that a lot. Come with me into my crazy brain. And now I'm sitting on the other side of this initiative saying, we still need this. There's still more to be done. And I want to know how to do it well
Mm.
instead of learning how to do it secondhand. So I have done a couple of change management presentations for my business analysis audience. So I do have a couple of presentations ready to go. And for them, it's great. For this group, I'm a little intimidated. So, that's that. I'll talk to you about that later. We'll talk about presentations and see if you're interested. But
Would love it.
yeah,
Absolutely love it. And one thing that stuck out as I'm listening to you is perhaps a very under addressed component of change, and that's the post change management. How do you keep the momentum going? How do you keep them, once the newness has worn off, how do you keep them rolling in that direction? That's an interesting perspective. Also noted, we'll see what we can do to fill that void. That's what we're talking about,
awesome.
really addressing issues in the career field itself. Well done. Thank you.
Awesome.
All
Great to be
right.
here.
Yay. All right.
right, Kay or Michelle, would you like
Oh,
to
I can go next. Can you
let
guys
us know
hear
a bit
me?
more about you? Yeah, yeah.
Okay, all right. So I'm in the Kansas City area. I kind of came into the change management field through corporate communications. Started to focus more on internal and executive communications, and through that became like a department leader. Um, and through that role, I kind of got that proverbial seat at the table under a fantastic leader, CEO, who was like, if there's something you want to contribute to, just do it. You know, pitch me something, do it. And she was coming in, a new leader within the organization. We transferred it over to being a 100% employee owned company. We instituted, learning systems, brought in new technology, performance measurements, everything. And I kind of got to have my fingers on all of that, including, strategic planning for our markets. And through that, worked with an outside OCM consultant, and I was hooked. I absolutely loved it. So I kind of started working my way into change communications and then all the way over into change consulting. So this is one of those things, if you're from Kansas City, this could be the worst thing ever to say, or you understand, but I was within the first cohort of OCMs that joined the Cerner VA electronic health record modernization. And Tamara, you want to talk about kicking off with COVID? That's what we did. But we were working with hospitals. And I remember clearly one of the sites I was working with, I'm like, oh, well, I know what I'll be doing on my birthday next year in 2021, because that's our go live date. The last I knew, they still have not gone live at that location. So I have that EHR experience. Also, I've done like a lot of Workday implementations, and also, Jennifer, similar to you, I've done some work, consulting work, one with Blue Cross Blue Shield of Minnesota, and they were changing their operating model from project-led to product-led and trying to adapt agile processes. And then with a kind of health insurance program that was affiliated with Boston Medical Center, and they broke off and were doing a shared services model. And we're standing up a strategic information office. But unfortunately, my most recent engagements got cut extremely short because of budget constraints. And of course, when you're in that situation, like where we were standing up the new SIO, and here's change management hanging on at the end, that's the first one that got the big red X, because they all think, oh, it's simple to just go ahead and get rid of that. We need our program managers, our project managers, and we're good. So right now I am in flux. So I've been talking to people. I've done some shorter stints working with some consultancies that are trying to introduce change management into their services. I went and pitched one with a company where they had ProSci, but it was kind of old and stale. And like other companies, they've gone through so much change with how they operate during COVID. And the organization is just like, yeah, we know change management, ADCAR, that's what it is,
Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's all you need to know. So mostly lately, it's been kind of supporting these smaller organizations trying to win work while I'm looking for something myself. And I would say my kind of exciting thing, I am in the end of a master's program at Penn State for organization development and change. So I'm in the final stretch, last two classes. And it's been wonderful, but it's also been kind of my place to connect with people who are in other industries doing different kinds of work, that are in HR side or IT side, or,
I
so
have wanted
that's
to
what
take that program. That has interested me for a couple of years. So
I've loved it.
I'd love to
Loved
chat
it.
with you about that.
Sure, absolutely. So one of the things I was excited that this chapter was opening is because I'm like, once I finish that program, who am I going to go? My go-to people going to be, yeah,
Us.
bounce things off and learn things. So I'm really excited about that, and yeah, just keeping fresh on best practices and hearing what people are doing, and happy to contribute in any way I can to any training or learning and development. But that's also what I'm looking forward to, because especially so much of my work has been remote and working with just project PMOs and on IT projects, but my interests are much broader than that. So I'm excited to hear what other people are doing out there.
That's so exciting. Congratulations on your higher ed journey. I know how challenging that is, but I also imagine that just going back over your presentations that you've done in your program, you have a lot to contribute to.
I probably could dig a few up. That wouldn't take long to get up and running. So
fantastic. Thank you so much. It's exciting stuff. Okay.
Good. Well, I think we've got Kay, and then I see Robert joined. Sorry, I don't know what point you joined, Robert, but I see you there now. Kay, we are at time. I'd like to hear your introduction. I'm happy to stay on. If others have to drop, I understand.
I'll be super quick. So, Kay Doyle, I'm in Omaha, Nebraska. I'm originally from Seattle. I spent a good almost 30 years in corporate finance, investor relations, and corporate communications. And so was doing change before they called it change management. That's like a new thing.
Yeah, right.
Really fell in love with this idea of individual change coaching and really learning about the people side of change. And so I went to Northwestern and did the Master's of Science of Learning and Organizational Change. Finished that up in 2019, just before COVID. And I also was part of the Midwest chapter of ACMP and loved it, just loved all of the learning that came from it. So today I coach leaders. Mostly I really am more focused on the nonprofit sector, coaching leaders because they are generally the change leaders. And so we do a lot of work in terms of how do I lead change? I also do a lot of strategic planning facilitation. And so we get done with a great big wonderful, shiny new 3-year strategic plan. And there's something in there that's incredibly hard, that's going to require a great deal of transformation and change. And so I walk alongside my clients to deal with that change. And so I'm an independent consultant in Omaha, love the work that I do. My focus on change is really on the people side. And so, what I would love to just learn from all of you is your different stories and perspectives and experience of change, because it's all really different. I mean, we have a common thread of the way that we go about it, but our stories are different. I just love hearing more of the corporate side because that was my old life. And I have lots of stories to tell on the people side. So anyway, that's it for me.
Fantastic. Excellent. So UK are the Sherpa that Tam was talking about to your clients, the one who holds the hand and takes them through, guides them through the rough terrain. Well done.
Yes. I don't do change for them. I teach them how to do it so that it's sustainable.
Music to my ears. That's wonderful. I love it. All right.
Oh, great to meet you. Robert, would you like to do a quick intro?
Sure, although you can imagine how embarrassed I am at how late I arrived. An embarrassment of riches of events in real life and online. Being from Chicago, I'm a Midwest member. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid of, I'm drinking ACMP's Kool-Aid. 30-year career in IT, all the roles you would expect, programmer, business analysis, tester, project management. 10 years ago, my former employer, the credit union, credit bureau, TransUnion, fired its whole change management team. I was working with a couple of them. And so I joked that they sold the Lexus and I was the Toyota. Um, so I think I uniquely commingle all of those different disciplines. I have a strong background in the performing arts. Sometimes I joke that I'm a musician caught in innovation. So when you hear that cliche, that when you're good with a hammer, everything looks like a nail. I see all of teamwork as a symphony. I'm going to make it a symphony until someone says, no, we're improv. Well, then we're improv. That's fine. Because the collaboration culture traits of the performing arts are fierce and they're financially attractive and they're fun. So I'm writing books, public speaking a ton, and consulting with companies that are ready to move on from that agile hybrid gridlock. I understand that plenty of companies, they're just married to the agile hybrid gridlock. You talk to them 20 years from now, and they will still be in that gridlock. But at some point, there's a chance that companies will say, maybe there's something new, not named hybrid or agile, and I'm ready for you.
Awesome. Awesome. What a wonderful and unique perspective you'll bring. And I love the diversity represented in this group. And I think it is indicative of the career field in general. You know, every industry, every organization has to change. And so if we can have a membership that represents just this wide array, then we'll be stronger for it. So thank you so much. That's wonderful. Good stuff.
Yeah, good. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining and contributing and sharing. And so that went quicker than we planned and took a little bit longer, but thanks for hanging on. And in sort of wrap, I think just cool for the responses to the needs that we went through earlier, which is volunteers for some of those open roles, any sponsorship leads whatsoever, and then please do join the chapter as soon as you can on the global site. And we will send an email, Erin will send an email with the recording and the presentation, and encourage you to connect with each other on LinkedIn, email, set up side chats in the meanwhile. And we're hoping to have another virtual event sometime in Q2. So maybe May, June time, we're going to hopefully have another virtual event. With like I said earlier, hopefully it'll be a bit of a panel discussion. So yeah, thanks again, everybody, and have a good evening and enjoy the rest of your week.
And for those
Thank
of you
you
who
both.
are going to be in Chicago for the May event, I hope we meet in person.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I just wrote that down to get in touch with you when I'm in Chicago.
I know pizza places.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, for real. Might be sooner then. Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone, for your
everyone.
time and
Thank
your
you.
energy.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, let's see. Bye. Thanks for joining us.